It all began with a promise, literally woven into their name. But for From Is 9, the promise of a stable debut and a smooth rise was broken almost as soon as it was made. This wasn't just a story of a girl group's climb. It became a relentless 7-year test of their very identity, plagued by management chaos, shocking member departures, and a breakthrough that arrived suspiciously late, right as the clock was running out. The central, burning controversy wasn't a single salacious scandal, but a grinding systemic one. Were these 9 girls and later 8 set up to fail from the very beginning, perpetually sabotaged by the unstable corporate machinery behind them? The first red flag waved before they even sang a note. Born from the Minette survival show Idol School in 2017, the group was immediately tangled in the controversy that would eventually engulf the entire produce series, manipulation allegations. While the full rigging scandal for Idol School was confirmed later, the cloud of suspicion hung over From Is 9's origin from day one. Were they truly the public's choice or a pre-selected lineup? This foundational doubt became a quiet weapon used against them by online critics for years, a permanent asterisk next to their fan-chosen concept. But the real instability started with their management structure. They were launched under a confusing joint operation. Stone Music Entertainment handled distribution and some management, while Pledis Entertainment oversaw training and production. This split-brain approach, rumors swirled, led to internal conflict, unclear direction, and a lack of cohesive branding. Fans watched in frustration as the group seemed to lack the focused push that agencies like Pledis gave their own flagship groups. The promise felt hollow, backed by a fractured system. Then the first major shock to the lineup. Just months after debut, in May 2018, member Gyuri was pulled to compete on Produce 48. The move was met with severe backlash from the nascent fandom, Flover. Netizens and fans saw it as a blatant, cynical use of From Is 9 as a stepping stone, questioning why a freshly debuted member needed to re-enter a survival show. It fueled speculation that the higher-ups at Pledis had little faith in From Is 9's own momentum and were using Gyuri to gain visibility through the Produce franchise, a franchise already simmering with its own manipulation controversies. The group promoted as 8, feeling incomplete, while Gyuri navigated a separate competitive hell. Her return in September after not making the final IZ*ONE lineup was bittersweet. It reunited the group but underscored a painful reality. They were seemingly pawns in a larger, unstable game. The whiplash continued. In September 2018, their management was suddenly transferred to Off the Record Entertainment, a then-fledgling label. This was their second company in less than a year. For fans, this wasn't a promotion. It was a demotion to what was perceived as a basement label, a holding pen for groups without a clear future. The whiplash of company shifts created a narrative of instability that made it hard for the public to invest. How could you stan a group that seemed to have no permanent home? Yet, amidst this chaos, they dropped Love Bomb in October 2018, a song now revered as a masterpiece. But here lies another layer of quiet controversy. The song was a critical darling, but a commercial sleeper. It didn't break out immediately. The industry chatter began. Was this a case of terrible timing and incompetent management failing to capitalize on a potential hit? The narrative solidified that From Is 9 was a group cursed with brilliance that their own handlers couldn't properly market. For years, this pattern held. They released consistent, high-quality music. Fun, feel good, we go, but the music show wins never came. They became known as the perpetual almost group, always in the conversation for a breakout but never quite breaking through. The fan frustration reached a boiling point, directed squarely at their management. Online forums and social media were filled with accusations of neglect, poor promotion, mismanaged comebacks, wasted potential. Each comeback felt like a test of loyalty for Flovers, who had to fight harder amidst apathy from their own agency. The scandal wasn't tabloid gossip. It was a slow-burn crisis of professional negligence playing out in real time. A pivotal and dark twist came in August 2021. Finally, after 3 years in the off-the-record basement, they were moved back to Pledis Entertainment. Initially, fans celebrated. This was a major label home to 17 and former home to New West. Stability at last. But the celebration was short-lived. Industry insiders and fans quickly began to speculate. Why now? Pledis had been acquired by HYBE in 2020. Was this move a strategic decision by HYBE to consolidate its girl group assets, especially with IZ*ONE's recent dissolution? Rumors swirled that From Is 9 was being positioned as a replacement or a strategic backup, a cynical corporate move rather than a genuine investment in their artistry. The move to Pledis, while offering better resources, came laden with the baggage of corporate chess, making their future seem both more secure and more precarious. The ultimate proof of this precariousness dropped on July 31, 2022. Member Gyuri Gyuri announced her departure from the group. The reason given was a desire to pursue acting, but the contract details revealed a shocking truth. When the group moved to Pledis in 2021, Gyuri was still under a separate short-term contract with Off the Record, while the other 8 members signed new, longer deals with Pledis. When her contract expired, she left. This revelation sent the fandom into an uproar. Why was one member on a different contract? Was she ever fully integrated into the Pledis move, or was she left in legal limbo? Netizens speculated about internal divisions, favoritism, or a simple, brutal administrative failure that ultimately cost the group a core member. The departure of Gyuri, one of the most recognizable faces from the original Idol school, felt like a direct result of the years of managerial malpractice. 9 became 8, and the promise fractured further. Just as they were adapting, tragedy nearly struck. In June 2022, just before the Stay This Way comeback, 5 members were involved in a car accident. The physical injuries were minor, but the psychological impact and the abrupt cancellation of their comeback showcase were devastating. It highlighted their relentless streak of bad luck, a group constantly battling external crises on top of industry neglect. Yet they persevered, and with 2023's Unlock My World and especially 2024's Supersonic, they finally achieved that elusive mainstream breakthrough. Supersonic was a massive summer hit, their first to chart in the Melon Top 10 with multiple music show wins. They were being hailed as 4th-gen summer queens. After 7 years of struggle, they were peaking. And then the hammer fell. On November 29, 2024, Pledis Entertainment announced that the members' contracts would expire on December 31, 2024. The timing was catastrophic. They had just delivered the company its biggest girl group hit in years, and instead of capitalizing, the company was letting the clock run out. The public and industry reaction was one of utter disbelief and fury. This was seen as the final, most egregious betrayal. HYBE and Pledis were accused of the ultimate cynical move, using From As 9 to fill a gap in their roster, reaping the rewards of their long overdue success, and then discarding them without a guaranteed renewal. The question wasn't just will they disband, it was did HYBE ever really care about them at all? The narrative of corporate neglect reached its climax. In the end, 3 members, Saerom, Jisun, Seoyeon, chose not to renew. 8 became 5. But the story didn't end there. In a stunning twist, the remaining 5, Hayoung, Chaeyoung, Nagyung, and Jihyun, signed with a tiny unknown startup agency called ASND in January 2025. This move itself became a talking point. Was this a desperate last stand or a powerful reclamation of their promise? Analysts pointed out the immense risk: no infrastructure, no proven track record. Yet, by March 2025, ASND acquired the From As 9 trademark. This was the final shocking turn in the controversy. The name, the promise born from a manipulated show and tossed between corporations for 7 years, was now owned by the members themselves. Their first comeback as 5, Bomb, and their subsequent Music Bank win in July 2025 wasn't just a comeback. It was a defiance of the entire industry system that had failed them.